You know how some English words just feel impossible? Like they're just these random, frustrating puzzles. But what if they're not random at all? What if it's all a code? Well, today we're going to crack that code. We're going to turn those frustrating words into something you can actually solve.
Does a word like this ever make you just pause? Yeah, it happens to everyone. But what if I told you there's actually a system hiding in plain sight? A real method to what looks like complete madness.
And that's our big idea for today. Let's just pretend English is a secret code. Because you know what? Like any code, once you have the key, the whole thing just opens up. You can crack it. And by the end of this, I promise, you are going to have that key.
Okay, so every good code has a basic unit, right? A fundamental building block. For us, the very first piece of our master key is this super simple but really powerful pattern called CVC.
So what is this CVC thing? It's really simple. It just stands for Consonant-Vowel-Consonant. It's a syllable with a single vowel sound squished between two consonants. And this is the crucial part. The vowel sound in the middle, it's almost always short. Think of the A in apple, not the long A in ape. That's the key right there.
All right, let's see this code in action. Take a super simple word, like lab. We all know how to read it instantly. But have you ever stopped to wonder why we know that? Well, the answer is the CVC pattern.
Look at that. The L's a consonant, A is our vowel, and B is another consonant. Boom, CVC. It fits the pattern perfectly. And that is the little signal that tells your brain to make that short A sound. Lab.
All right, so you can see how words like cup, met, and top fit that CVC rule perfectly, right? But honestly, sometimes seeing what breaks the rule helps you understand it even better. Look at fame. See that? It's got two vowels, the A and the E. So, nope, not CVC. Or a word like cry. The Y acts like a vowel here, and there's no consonant at the end. By seeing what doesn't fit, it makes the CVC pattern itself crystal clear.
Okay, so we've got our first building block, the CVC pattern. That's great for small words, but what about those monster words? How does this help? Well, now we get to the master key. This is a super reliable 5-step strategy that you can use on pretty much any big word you come across.
Think of this as your roadmap, or maybe your detective's checklist. First, you check the context. Then you look for easy chunks, like prefixes and suffixes. After that, you divide what's left, sound it all out, and finally, you just check if it makes sense. Let's actually put this to the test with a real word.
Okay, here we go. Our target word is disconnected, and we see it right there in a sentence. So, step 1, what's the context? Well, it's about a wire and a lamp. That's a huge clue, right? A lamp with a weird wire probably isn't working.
All right, on to step 2, and this is the fun part. We're going to look for chunks. Right away, you can probably spot two little bits on the ends that look familiar. You've got dis at the start. That's a super common prefix. And you've got ed at the end, a classic suffix. So let's just mentally pull those off for a second.
So what are we left with in the middle? The word connect. Now here is a fantastic little trick for dividing up words. When you see two consonants smashed together between vowels, like those two N's right there, you almost always split the word right down the middle. So connect becomes con and neck.
Okay, let's put it all back together. We just say the syllables we found. Dis, connect, ed. Put it all together, what do you get? Disconnected! And now, the final check. Does it make sense in our sentence? He found a disconnected wire. Yeah! It means not connected. The lamp wasn't working because the wire wasn't connected. See? The strategy worked perfectly. So, how are you feeling? A little more confident? Good, because now we're going to do a little rapid-fire round. I want to prove just how powerful this strategy really is. Let's put these new tools to the test. Now, just look at how this toolkit handles all these different kinds of words. For a word like misconduct, boom, you spot the prefix miss. Easy. For tomboy, you recognize, hey, that's just two words stuck together, so you split it. Tom, boy. Skillful, you just pull that suffix full right off the end. And what about magnet? Well, there's our rule again.
Split it right between the two consonants, the G and the N. Mag-net. It's not about memorizing one single rule. It's about having a set of tools you can pull out for any situation.
So what does all this really mean? It means you're not just a reader anymore. You are now a word detective. You don't have to guess. You don't have to feel intimidated because now you have the tools to actually investigate and crack the code yourself.
So let's do a quick recap of your new code-breaking toolkit. First, you can spot that fundamental CVC pattern. Second, you can find those easy chunks, the prefixes and suffixes. You know that awesome trick for dividing the rest of the word right between the consonants. And finally, you know how to use the context of the sentence as your ultimate clue to make sure it all makes sense.
You know, what we've really done today is make a huge shift. We've gone from that feeling of confusion, just staring at a big wall of letters, to a feeling of confidence. The confidence that comes from knowing, hey, I've got a strategy for this.
So you have the keys. The code is yours to crack. The very next time you see one of those long, complicated words that used to trip you up, you're going to know exactly what to do. Which leaves just one last question for you. You've got the tools. What words are you going to decode next?